Have you ever had one of those moments, where it feels like your entire world is just collapsing? Like everything you've built, everything you believed in, suddenly shatters. Well, today we're going to dive into a story that shows how that exact moment of total breakdown can actually become the foundation for something incredibly beautiful and new.
Wow, that thought, it can just stop you in your tracks, can't it? It feels so final, so hopeless. And that feeling, right there, is exactly where our story kicks off. We're going to explore what happens when you hit what feels like the absolute end of the road.
All right, so let's get into it. Part 1, when your world collapses. We're going to follow the story of a guy named Ayaan. Now, on the surface, Ayaan seemed to have it all together. His life looked solid, his future was bright. But then, almost all at once, the pillars holding up his entire world just started to crumble.
So, the first domino to fall, his career. The very thing he had poured years of his life into. All that hard work and ambition, just gone. Poof. The entire professional identity he'd built for himself was suddenly stripped away.
And as if losing his career wasn't devastating enough, it was followed by an even deeper blow. A betrayal from the one person he thought he could trust more than anyone. That kind of loss leaves a hole that's way bigger than just an empty space at the table.
And then, the final hit. The relationship he was so sure was his future, the person he was planning his whole life with, it was over. Just like that, all those plans, all those shared dreams, they just walked out the door with her.
You see, this is where it gets really tough. The external collapse starts to turn inward. Losing a job, a friend, a partner, it all starts to echo with this one painful question. The focus shifts from what happened out there to what's wrong with me. And that brings us to part 2, the turning point. Because right there, in the middle of all that darkness and self-doubt, something shifted. It wasn't some huge dramatic event. It was actually a really small, quiet moment that planted the seed for a completely new way of looking at everything. It was just this, a simple note from his mother. But these words, they somehow cut through all the noise and the despair. It was this gentle, powerful reminder that his story wasn't finished, that the author of his life hadn't put down the pen.
And what's so fascinating is how that little seed of hope was then watered by this incredible piece of wisdom. This verse from the Quran presented a pretty radical idea. What if the things he hated, the losses that felt so unbearable, were actually good for him in some way he just couldn't possibly see yet? And this brings us right to our third section, the purpose of pain. This new idea completely reframed his entire experience. He started to shift from seeing his suffering as some kind of punishment and instead began looking for the hidden wisdom that might be tucked away inside of it.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On the left, you've got that old mindset. Pain is a dead end. It means you failed. But look at the right. A whole new world of possibilities opens up. What if pain isn't an end, but a process, a tool for something greater? So he starts asking these deeper questions. Could this hardship actually be protecting him from something even worse down the road? Or maybe it's a process of purification, stripping away things like arrogance or attachments he didn't even realize he had. Or, and this is a big one, maybe it was a powerful redirection, forcing him onto a path that was actually better for him all along. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? When life was easy and comfortable, it was easy to drift. But the shock of his world breaking apart, that forced him to reconnect with his faith, with his core values in a way he hadn't in a very, very long time. So with this new understanding, his focus completely changed. And that's our fourth section, rebuilding from within. Instead of scrambling to fix the outside world, Ayaan started to heal the inside, one small, consistent, intentional step at a time.
Look, he didn't try to solve everything at once. He started small, just waking up early, praying with real focus, not just going through the motions, taking time to read and reflect, and finding small ways to help others. Each one of these was like a single brick, slowly but surely laying a new, much stronger foundation.
And listen, this is so important to remember. Healing isn't a straight line. There were good days, and there were really bad days. Some days he felt strong, and other days he struggled just to get out of bed. But the difference now was that he saw the struggle not as a failure, but as a normal, necessary part of the journey back to himself. And that brings us to our final part. Your story isn't over, because Ayaan's journey, it's not just about him. It's packed with lessons we can all use when we're facing our own moments of collapse. It's this incredible reminder that our perspective truly has the power to change our reality. So let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, your current chapter, it is not your whole story. Second, sometimes what you lost was never really meant for you in the first place. Third, a delay is not a denial. Trust the timing. Fourth, always remember there's a plan at work that is so much bigger than what we can see. And finally, number 5, your pain can be the very thing that carves you into a wiser, stronger, more compassionate person.
So let's end with this powerful truth. If you're listening to this and you feel like your world is falling apart right now, please hold on to this. You are not at the end. You are in the middle of a story that is still being written. And the author who brought you this far, trust me, he is not done with you yet.